What would you do if a single meal could unravel the secrets someone buried deep in their past? I never thought a dinner invitation from my wife's old friend would turn into a night that changed everything. My name is Ethan, and this is the story of how a plate of food became a mirror reflecting truths I wasn't ready to face. It started innocently enough. My wife, Clara, burst into our living room one evening, her eyes bright with excitement. "Ethan, you'll never guess who reached out," she said, waving her phone. "Julian. He's back in town and invited us for dinner at his place this Saturday." Julian was Clara's friend from her college days, a charismatic chef she'd always spoken of with a mix of admiration and nostalgia. I'd never met him, but her stories painted him as larger-than-life a culinary genius with a knack for making every gathering unforgettable. I smiled, happy to see her so thrilled, but something about the invitation felt off. Maybe it was the way she avoided my eyes when she mentioned his name, or maybe it was just my gut whispering warnings I couldn't yet decipher. Saturday arrived, and we drove to Julian's sprawling Victorian home on the outskirts of town. The house was a masterpiece of old-world charm, with ivy crawling up its brick walls and warm light spilling from tall windows. Julian greeted us at the door, all charm and confidence. He was tall, with sharp cheekbones and a disarming smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Ethan, my man," he said, clapping me on the shoulder like we were old friends. "Clara's told me so much about you. Come in, come in." His warmth was infectious, but I caught a flicker of something calculation, maybe in his glance as he ushered us inside. The dining room was a vision of elegance. A long mahogany table set with crystal glasses, silver cutlery, and flickering candles. The air was thick with the aroma of roasted herbs and something richer, almost primal. Clara was radiant, laughing at Julian's stories of their college escapades, while I sat quietly, observing. There was a familiarity between them that made my chest tighten, not jealousy, exactly, but a sense that I was an outsider in their shared history. As we settled in, Julian announced the first course with a flourish. "Tonight," he said, his voice smooth as velvet, "we're starting with a dish that's very personal to me." The servers, two silent figures in black placed plates before us. It was a delicate arrangement of seared scallops, nestled in a vibrant green herb sauce, with a single edible flower as garnish. Clara clapped her hands, delighted, but as I took my first bite, the flavor hit me like a memory I couldn't place. It was exquisite, yet there was something hauntingly familiar about it, like a song I'd heard in a dream. The evening progressed, course after course, each dish more intricate than the last. Julian was a master, weaving stories about the origins of each recipe, his travels, his inspirations. But with every bite, that nagging familiarity grew stronger. By the time the main course, Ayurveda, slow-braised lamb, shank drizzled with a dark, glossy reduction, I couldn't shake the feeling that these flavors were tied to something from my own past. I tried to dismiss it, focusing on Clara's laughter, but my mind kept drifting to a memory I couldn't quite grasp. Then came the twist I never saw coming. As Julian poured more wine, a woman entered the dining room, unannounced. She was older, her silver hair pulled back tightly, her eyes sharp and unyielding. Julian's smile faltered for a split second before he recovered. "Everyone, this is Margot, my mentor," he said, his voice tighter than before. Margot nodded curtly, her gaze locking onto me. "Ethan," she said, her voice low and deliberate, "you're enjoying the meal, I hope?" There was something in her tone, a weight that made my skin prickle. I nodded, unsure why her presence felt like a storm cloud rolling in. Margot didn't join us at the table. Instead, she hovered near the doorway, watching. Julian continued his performance, but the atmosphere had shifted. Clara seemed oblivious, lost in the wine and the stories, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Margot's arrival was no accident. When the dessert course was announced, at a deconstructed tart with berries and a custard that tasted like summer itself, I finally spoke up. "Julian," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "These flavors, they remind me of something. Where did you learn to cook like this?" His smile was a mask. "Oh, here and there," he said, waving a hand. "You pick things up when you travel." But Margot's eyes narrowed, and she stepped forward. "Tell him, Julian," she said, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. Clara froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. Julian's face paled. "Margot, please," he murmured, but she didn't relent. "Ethan," Margot said, turning to me, "the dish you're eating, the scallops, the lamb, the custard, it's not just food. It's a memory. Your memory." My heart thudded in my chest. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Margot's lips curled into a sad smile. "Julian didn't create these recipes. He stole them. From your mother." The room spun. My mother, a brilliant cook, had died when I was a teenager. Her kitchen was my sanctuary, her recipes a language of love I thought I'd lost forever. I hadn't tasted her food in 20 years, but every bite tonight had carried her touch. I looked at Julian, whose charm had evaporated, replaced by a man cornered. "Is this true?" I demanded. Clara's hand gripped mine under the table, her eyes wide with shock. Julian tried to laugh it off, but Margot wasn't done. "He was her apprentice," she said. "Your mother taught him everything, her techniques, her secrets. And when she passed, he took her notebook and claimed her work as his own." She reached into her bag and pulled out a worn leather journal, its pages yellowed but unmistakable. My mother's handwriting stared back at me, her recipes etched in faded ink. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. Julian hadn't just invited us for dinner. He'd served me my own past, repackaged as his triumph. Clara was trembling, her voice breaking as she whispered, "Julian, how could you?" He stammered, his excuses crumbling under Margot's unrelenting gaze. I wanted to honor her," he said, but the lie was hollow. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. "You didn't honor her," I said, my voice shaking with rage and grief. "You erased her." The room was silent except for the crackle of the candles. Margot placed the journal in my hands, her eyes softening. "She'd be proud of you, Ethan," she said. "You recognized her, even in this." We left that night, the journal clutched to my chest, Clara's hand in mine. Julian's regret was palpable, but it wasn't enough. He'd built a career on stolen memories, and now, with my mother's recipes in my hands, I vowed to reclaim her legacy. The drive home was quiet, but Clara's touch grounded me. "We'll cook her recipes together," she said softly. "We'll bring her back." That dinner was meant to dazzle, but it became a reckoning. Julian's invitation had opened a door to my past, and though the truth was painful, it gave me something priceless. My mother's voice, alive again in every dish I'd recreate. Sometimes, the things we're served, whether food or truth, reveal more than we ever expect. And sometimes they set us free.